Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
afternoon.
And welcome to this committee meeting day of the Georgia State Board of Education. I stand adjourned. We're gonna start our day with a need for executive session, so I will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing personnel, student disciplinary appeals, and pending litigation.
So moved. Second.
Got a motion by Donaldson, a second by Downey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will go into executive session and we will be back no later than 1 o'clock for those of you that are in the audience. Thank you.
And for all the new folks there, you see that little green button up there?
I will now entertain a motion to exit executive session.
Second.
So, motion by Dan, who was the second?
Seven of them.
7 of them. I'm gonna pick one. Ben, all in favor of saying aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we are out of executive session. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the committee meetings of the State Board of Education. I'm Stan DeJarnett, and it's my honor to serve as the chair this year. We have a pretty good agenda here, and we will start today with our budget session, and I'm going to turn it over to our budget chairman, Mr. Leonte Benton. Mr. Benton?
Yes. Yeah. Russ, how are you today, sir?
I'm good.
Jump on into item number 1.
All right. Item number 1 is a contract with Text Help. This contract will provide high-quality assistive technology software to support reading, writing, and mathematics for students with disabilities and determine effective accommodations for these students. The contract is not to exceed $719,882.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
Just one, and I guess, is this a service, and I think it's a great idea, but is this a service, is this a new service, or is this a new product that we're providing?
Looking for Sean.
Hi, Mr. DeJarnett, this is Dawn. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine, thank you.
Yeah, this is not a new product. We've actually been utilizing this for a number of years and provide this free of charge to the districts at a significantly discounted rate. We're the only state that actually does this, so we've been grandfathered in. Typically, it would cost $10 per user, but they've allowed us to utilize it for $2 per user, and I think we have about 230,000 licenses, but we've been utilizing it for a number of years with great success and input from the districts.
Well, thank you. Is there a training element that's a part of this, or is there teacher training needed for this with somebody that hadn't used it before?
Yeah, so we have a person on staff that works directly with Text Help and as a liaison between the district as well. So we work to support a robust technical assistance training component that goes along with this.
Great. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Item number 2.
All right, item number 2 is a contract amendment for our FY25 Office of State Administrative Hearings. Due process hearings are designed to resolve differences between concerned parties in identification, evaluation, placement, or provision of a free and appropriate public education for a student with a disability. The amount of this amendment is $300,000, which brings the total contract amount to $700,000.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? Okay, item number 3.
All right, item number 3 is the state schools retention funds for Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. The purpose of these funds is to support recruitment and retention of staff knowledgeable in educating students who are deaf. The total amount is not to exceed $275,000.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Item number 3.
I do, Mr. Benton.
Okay.
Can we talk about where we're getting that money from? Where's the funding for that?
What is,
I can answer that, Mr. Dahl. So this is from our federal special education.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, item number 4.
all right, item number 4 is a grant, Local Foods for Schools and Child Care Cooperative Agreement. This is a request to receive funds from the United States Department of Agriculture to support school nutrition programs and child care institutions with purchasing local unprocessed or minimally processed domestic foods for school use in school meals. The total grant is not to exceed $23,555,564.
So these funds are for all systems throughout the schools. There's not an allotment page behind it that shows which districts will get funds. Does that come after the fact?
After the fact, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
This is
And
to
is
receive
there-
the funds.
Is there qualifying information regarding the description for locally produced, I'm sure there's definitions pages somewhere behind it.
Mhm.
I'd love to see those at some point, if you have those, you can share those, that kind of gives the description of linking that money in those local areas back to what does it really mean to get locally sourced food that's unprocessed and such.
Yeah, we can get you that.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions? Okay, item number 5.
All right, item number 5 is a contract with JOC Construction. This contractor will renovate AASD restrooms to meet ADA accessibility standards for visitors, students, and staff, and replace damaged and worn carpet in the middle and high school classrooms and in all observation rooms. The total contract amount is not to exceed $362,312.
Any questions on item number 5? Okay, thank you. Item number 6.
All right, item number 6 is a grant for school-based health centers in Seminole County School System. These grant funds, in alignment with the Governor's School-Based Health Center Initiative and support, will support the renovation for a school-based health center at Seminole County Elementary School. The total grant amount is not to exceed $308,000.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yeah, is there, now it says federal funds, is that Department of Education funds?
The federal funds?
Yes,
Yeah,
in
Department of
this case? Okay, so I know there's several places in these items where it says federal funds, Department of Education funds. So are these funds, if we approve them tomorrow, will those funds come down immediately, or are they spread out over a period of time? And the reason why I'm asking this question is we don't know what the status is gonna be of funding from the Federal Department of Education based on what's happening, you know, on a daily basis. So how would these funds come down, and would we be in a position where if we were, you know, where we might approve them, but then we find out we're not gonna get them?
Let me
Good
just-
question.
Russ, if I'm not mistaken, was this money that came during the COVID funding with the governor's office?
Correct,
So again,
yes.
this is.
So we already have this
we already
money.
have this money.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah, I understand,
it's-
yeah, yeah. but
And,
it-
you
yeah.
know, I think that
We've
much of what's happening related not only to, from the Department of Education, but other areas is needed and justified, and we've got to look at the waste, fraud, and abuse in our federal government. But I don't, you know, if it's already here, that's one thing. I think we have some concerns if it's money that's coming.
That's for all the items today?
Yes.
In a similar situation. And then Russ, we put a clause in all our contracts, so if there's ever a change in funding, say if funding was called back or for something, then we call PD paying out.
Great. Thank you.
And just to clarify, all federal grants at the Department of Education are reimbursement, so we don't have the cash until we spend it. So even though we're awarded
This
it,
was money that came out of COVID funds, though.
it's
so
already
we were-
been, we've already been awarded it, and it's
Yeah.
out there
Yes,
available for
okay.
us to draw.
Yeah,
I
this-
mean,
this
I don't
actually
think
came
that
through the
necessarily
government,
means
so
anything
there's
right
not-
now, but it could.
Yeah,
It could.
this money came from the governor's office, so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the question. Item number 7.
All right, item number 7 is a grant for school-based health center. This is the startup grant for Seminole County School System. This grant, also in alignment with the governor's school-based health center initiative and support, will provide startup funds for operating a school-based health center at Seminole County Elementary School. The total grant is not to exceed $682,000.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Okay. Item number 8.
All right, item number 8 is a receipt of an external grant. This is the Stronger Connections Technical Assistance and Capacity Building Grant. This grant will provide technical assistance in building the capacity of high-needs local education agencies to address chronic absenteeism. The total grant amount is not to exceed $770,780.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Item number 9. Any questions or discussion? What about item number 10? Any questions or discussion, comments? All right, Mr. Chair, that concludes the budget committee items. And recommend we Move items 1 through 10 to consent agenda.
Items 1 through 10, any objections to moving items 1 through 10 to the consent agenda? Hearing none, we'll do that. Thank you, Mr. Benton.
Thank you.
We're gonna have to take a 10-minute break, because we've been so efficient with our budget committee. I can't start the rules committee before 1:30, so we'll take a 10-minute break and be back here in about 1:28, all right?
Thank you.
It's now 1:30, and thank you for your patience, folks. I had no idea that Mr. Benton was gonna be this efficient.
I aim to make you proud.
You outkicked me on that one. It's now time for our Rules Committee meeting, and I will turn the meeting over to our chair, Mr. Frank Griffin. Mr. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We hope to amaze you with efficiency just as much.
High bar, Frank.
We have 9 items, but we will jump in quickly. Ms. Taylor?
Item number 1 is a request to approve State Board Rule 160-5-4.05, regular, advance, and low wealth funding. This bill, House Bill 318 from the 2024 legislative session amended the Official Code of Georgia annotated Section 20-2-262D and added 2 new subsections relating to low wealth capital outlay grants to local school systems and criteria for eligibility. This rule is being amended to increase the low wealth calculation eligibility to include being ranked in the bottom 25% of sales tax revenues and the bottom 25% of property per FTE during any of the 3 most recently completed school years, to add a building age factor for consolidations, to add in the ability of the department to determine and remove systems from the project-specific low wealth calculation consideration if the system's system-wide eligible need has been met, and to add the ability to prioritize eligible local school systems with lesser amounts of SPLOST revenues if available funds are not sufficient to cover the full amount of capital outlay grants. At its January 2025 meeting, the State Board approved the initiation of this rule to be posted for public review and comment, and the rule has been posted for at least 30 days.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Are there any questions from the board?
Mr. Griffin, I do have one.
Yes, Mr. Dodd.
Was there any comments?
We have not received any comments.
That was my question too. Thank you.
Well, it was a good question.
It was a good question. It was. Duly noted. Duly noted.
Don't mess with my efficiency.
Thank you, that's it.
I really don't want to bang the gavel at everybody's first meeting here. Let's be nice.
All right, any other questions? Well, this is an adoption, so it will be pulled for separate votes.
Separate vote, all right?
All right, item number 2.
Item number 2 is a request to adopt State Board Rule 160-5-4.04, Special Appropriation for Public School Capital Outlay. Senate Bill 233 from the 2024 legislative session amended the Official Code of Georgia annotated Section 20-2-265BM relating to capital outlay funds and the addition of voluntary pre-K programs provided by the local school system. This rule is being amended to add definitions and to add pre-K for capital outlay program participation. At the January 2025 meeting, the State Board approved the initiation of this rule to be posted for public review and comment, and it has been posted for at least 30 days.
Have we received any comments?
We have not received any comments on this.
Any other questions?
Yeah, we received any comments.
Again, as this is an adoption, it'll be pulled for a separate vote. Item number 3.
Item number 3 is a request to adopt State Board Rule 160-5-4.08, school size. Similarly, this rule is being amended per Senate Bill 233 from the 2024 legislative session to add definitions and to add pre-K capital outlay program participation. At the January 2025 meeting, the State Board approved the initiation of this rule to be posted for public review and comment, and it has been posted for at least 30 days.
Were there any comments?
There were no comments.
No comments. Any questions from the board?
It's just, this is a cleanup rule.
Correct, these are just adding,
Add the new
adding
definition.
pre-K to the definition for, in these rules so that they can be added for capital outlay grants.
Any further questions?
Well, I have a question of Ms. Taylor, and it's not really about this particular rule, but it is about school size. Is there any possibility that maybe in the future, in the near future, we can have a discussion with staff and maybe, I'm sure this would necessitate some action across the street about minimum school size and FTE and things like that? Or I know it's not really a base size question. I'm familiar with that, but we have some very small school districts that, well, for example, that there, it seems to me, and I've heard from some of these in the last 4 or 5 years, that they earn a third or a half of an FTE for a high school English teacher. And I know that this would take some assistance from our friends across the street, but maybe it's time to start a discussion about maybe rounding those numbers up so that at least a small, low-wealth school district could at least afford a full FTE for a high school English teacher or something that's in the formula. I'm not talking about local funded teachers, but in the formula. And I guess I don't mean to put Ms. Taylor on the spot, but Superintendent Woods, maybe we could take a look at that and run some numbers and see what it would cost our state budget if we just rounded those up for.
Yeah, well, I think, like Taliaferro County, they have less than 200 kids K-12, so many of those classrooms are
Well,
less
they're
than
funded
50,
at less than
less
one.
yeah.
Less than one.
Yeah.
And I know that you can't hire a third of the person, but so the local district's responsible for making up the difference. And seems to me that this could be a not too costly way of at least giving them a full employee for that position instead of a part of one. Well, we'll table that for another day, but hopefully, maybe we can start that discussion with our budget committee and also rules and the staff.
It would take a change.
It would take a change, I'm aware of that. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, this will also be pulled for a separate vote. Item number 4.
Item number 4 is a request to adopt State Board Rule 160-5-1-.34, Georgia Special Needs Scholarship Program. House Bill 606 from the 2021 legislative session amended the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, Section 20-3-519, so as to add the Georgia Independent School Association to the list of accrediting agencies for private schools. This rule is being amended to modify the definition of private school in accordance with the updated definition in law. At the January 2025 meeting, the State Board approved the initiation of this rule to be posted for public review and comment, and it has been posted for at least 30 days.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Were there any comments from the public?
There were not.
Any questions from the board? Hearing none, this item is also adoption. It will be pulled for separate vote tomorrow as well. Number 5 is a new rule initiation. Ms. Taylor?
Item number 5 is a request to bring State Board Rule 160-7-1-.02, accrediting agencies for initiation. If approved, the rule will be posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment. Rule 160-7-1-.02, accrediting agencies, is being created to reinforce the accreditation requirements of Senate Bill 204 from the 2023 legislative session. The rule outlines information on accrediting requirements in Georgia, including the criteria for identification as a recognized accrediting agency, the legal evaluation criteria for accrediting agencies, the due process procedural requirements for recognized accrediting agencies, accreditation dispute resolution options, and the establishment of an accreditation committee by the State Board of Education. If approved, this rule will be posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment.
Are there any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Chairman? You act as if you'd like to say something. All right, that's one, I'll move on with that. This is an initiation, so am I correct in that it can be put on the consent agenda?
It can.
Okay, any?
No, I don't have any questions. I don't have any comments on this, but I certainly expect some public comment on this as well.
All right, item number 6.
Item number 6 is a request to approve standards for public review and comment. The current standards for the distribution and logistics pathway were last revised in 2013. The courses proposed for revision include logistics and supply chain fundamentals, materials and supply chain management, and logistics and supply chain operations. The Standards Committee, comprised of business and industry representatives and secondary and post-secondary professionals, met to review and revise the core standards. Changes and additions to the standards include clarification of standards elements, increases in depth of knowledge levels, and an introduction to artificial intelligence concepts and applications related to the industry sector. If approved, these standards will be posted for public review and comment for at least 30 days.
Any questions or comments from the board? Yes, ma'am.
So how do we determine who are the people from the industry that are part of this discussion?
There should be a additional sheet that shows who worked on it.
Okay, so, but how do they come to us? I mean, do we recruit them? Do they? All right, sounds good.
It's not exactly something that they're, they really want to leave their real job to come tinker with, but we need to find some folks.
Okay,
Many of them are part of advisory councils.
okay.
Any other questions, comments? This will be placed on the consent agenda with no objection. Item number 7.
Item number 7 is a request to approve standards for public review and comment. The current standards for the energy systems pathway were last revised in 2017. The courses proposed for revision include Foundations of Energy Technologies, Energy and Power Technology, and Appropriate and Alternative Energy Technologies. The Standards Committee, comprised of business and industry representatives and secondary and post-secondary professionals, met to review and revise these core standards. The changes and additions to the standards include increases in depth of knowledge levels, an introduction to artificial intelligence concepts and applications related to the industry sector, the inclusion of more math and science concepts, and incorporating a focus on entrepreneurship. If approved, these standards will be posted for public review and comment for at least 30 days.
Any questions or comments from the board? Yes, Mr. Johnson.
I'm curious, let me go back to it, I'm sorry. This is for Dr. Wall. How would this relate to somebody who wants to go be a lineman?
Well, we have a pathway, we have a pathway that specifically deals with that. It's called Energy and Power Generation, Transmission, and Distribution. And we call it the Georgia Power or the EMC class. And that's where they can be exposed to the being a lineman. So down in like Burke County, they've got a pole yard and they do all kind of activities coinciding with what linemen do, as well as what plant operators would do because Plant Vogel's in their backyard. And same thing with Appleton County with Plant Hatch. So that pathway has to have some energy, a footprint of an energy distribution and generation within their neighborhood for it to actually take off. But we do have that, and that's the pathway for those kids that are interested in that.
So how is this different than this other pathway we have?
This is more towards your energy systems or engineering. And the big thing that they do here is they deal with alternatives or EV or wind, any of those types of energies from an engineering perspective. And one of the big things that they do in this class is they build an electric vehicle. And we race it every March at Lanier Raceway. And there'll be about 50 school systems out there on Lanier Raceway as we race their vehicles that they've worked on all year.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a comment.
Yes, ma'am.
Working in the energy sector is my full-time job. I read over these, and I commend you guys, we talked about this yesterday. The content that is included here is phenomenal. I would hope that any engineer that comes and works with me knows these concepts. And in fact, my engineering director and I read all over this yesterday and wanted to kind of quiz each other on how much we knew and how much our new employees knew. So we're gonna do a little internal research, but the content is phenomenal and spot on, so thank you.
Well, I'll send you an invite so you can come up to Lanier Raceway from Jackson EMC.
I believe we've been there a couple times to do that, so please do.
And Jennifer, you can volunteer somebody to be on the review committee.
100%, probably do that, yeah.
He won't have to beg them. You can just tell him.
That's right.
Voluntold is the way.
Yeah.
Right.
We appreciate your positive comments about that.
I appreciate the content and the effort that you put into this. Very applicable to the industry today, and I think it's an absolutely great program for students.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment? All right, without objection, this will be placed on the consent agenda as well. Item number 8.
Item number 8 is another request to approve standards for public review and comment. The current standards for the engineering and technology pathway were last revised in 2007. The courses proposed for revision include foundations of engineering and technology, engineering concepts, and engineering applications. Changes and additions to the standards include increases in depth of knowledge levels, an introduction to artificial intelligence concepts and applications related to the industry sector, the inclusion of more math and science concepts, and incorporating a focus on entrepreneurship. If approved, the standards will be posted for at least 30 days.
Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, with no objection, this will be placed on the consent agenda as well. The last item is item number 9. Ms. Taylor?
Item number 9 is the final request to approve standards for public review and comment. The current standards for the manufacturing pathway were last revised in 2017. The courses proposed for revision include foundations of manufacturing and materials science, robotics and automated systems, and production enterprises. Changes and additions similarly include increases in depth of knowledge levels, an introduction to AI concepts and applications related to the industry sector, inclusion of more math and science concepts, and incorporating a focus on entrepreneurship. If approved, they will be posted for at least 30 days for public review and comment.
Any comments or questions from the board? Hearing none, item number 9, without objection, will be placed on the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, we have items 1 through 4 that'll be pulled for separate vote. Items 5 through 9 will be placed on the consent agenda. That concludes the work of the Rules Committee. We're not quite as efficient as Mr. Benton, but we're getting there.
It's probably my fault, I had too much to say. But before we recess until 2 o'clock, I do want to thank the group of board members. Ms. Petty chaired this group that worked on the accreditation rule. Let's see, Frank, Jason, Nick, and our former board member, Scott Sweeney, all of whom have local board experience prior to coming here to the state board. To work on this, I want to thank you for that, and we'll look forward to the public comment that they got. I think you also got some assistance from the Southern Regional Education Board, is that correct?
Sorry, yes, Stephen Pruitt.
All right. We will start our Charter District Flexibility and Charter Schools Committee at 2 p.m. Till there, we're in recess.
So far.
Very good. A lot of good speakers.
That's all that matters.
Small business administration. I really like her. I've known her since about 2015. She called me to her office because she told me to run her office before I did. Little things you don't know, like, I block out time for your family, okay, because then you got to. What's that? Take care of all the things like that that are different from women. One time I was going to this camp at Gainesville College on immigration, and I had my purse with me. This is where I learned this lesson. And they allowed a bunch of
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. See you later. Yes, sir.
really started bullying us, and the county took a stand, and I said, look, this is not. We had set the limit on these people. It was my first choice. So I'm leaving, and I would not walk out, and I'm like, oh, that's fine, that's okay.
Shut down the streets in Midtown and we're going over Buster's.
They should tell you what they told me they're gonna do.
It was more like today and
Still talking about immigration. So what do y'all see in where you are?
Oh, weird definition of fun. sitting there trying to mentally pages, just build patterns, they change this amount. So we will not. Do you have a position?
The one thing I have to and our fleets are in all the counties, in my county, in the Woodlands. Yeah, we love the tax revenue and the economic growth, the kudos that we get as a state for our film department and all the great things we do. But man, we hate when they shut down roads. Because there was one day they were filming on 316, and they film at the jail a lot, and look what, then they'll film driving scenes on 316. What happens? So they're basically, it's just like a roadblock. Because you kind of get behind or whatever, and it's never a convenient time, right? And there's often no notice, because not
Thank you for your patience. It's close enough, it's 2:00, I think. I'm gonna call Martha Zoller, our new Chair of District Flexibility and Charters. I'm gonna call on you to take us through the agenda items.
Thank you. So we have 2 items on the agenda today. Tiffany, if you'll explain the first one?
All right, the first item is a request to approve the State Charter Schools Commission appointments. The State Charter Schools Commission has 2 commission vacancies with the expired terms of Commissioners Jim Cole and Commissioner Ben Scafferty, who were previously nominated by the governor. State Charter Schools Commission members are appointed by the State Board of Education in accordance with the Official Code of Georgia Annotated, Section 20-2-2082B, from nominations received from the governor, lieutenant governor, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. In accordance with the law, Governor Kemp seeks to reappoint Ben Scafferty for another term and submitted 2 nominations to replace Jim Cole. It is recommended that the State Board reappoint Ben Scafferty for another term and appoint Scott Sweeney to the State Charter Schools Commission.
Any discussion?
Who's this Scott Sweeney fellow? I wish he was here.
I know, that would be great. He may be listening.
Courtney may be wishing he was here too. As all of you know, and the public know, that Mr. Sweeney is a recent past board member and a past chair. And Courtney Dove, our newest appointee from the 11th Congressional District, is taking his place. But this is a good sign that we'll continue to have the opportunity to work with Mr. Sweeney. And also Ben Scafferty, a dear friend and an old friend, is being reappointed. That's just serendipitous for all of us, because both of them, I think, will do a great job for the State Charter Schools Commission. And I see Mr. Donovan Head, who is the executive director of that commission, in the back of the room nodding. So I'm going to take that to mean you're not going to fight this recommendation. Okay, good. And just to make sure, is this an item that can be added to the consent agenda?
Yes, so without objection, we will move this to the consent agenda.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, the second item, Tiffany?
The second item is a request to approve the renewal of Oglethorpe Charter School. I will turn this over to Mr. Alan Mueller with the State Charter Schools Commission.
We're very excited about working with Scott. Thank you for letting us poach him there, or however it worked. So this is the Oglethorpe Charter School renewal. So this is, of course, I'm going to just say a few things, and I have some updates I'll give you after we do the item. But Oglethorpe Charter School is the oldest charter school in Georgia, so the first locally approved startup charter school. They're also the only charter school that is in a facility completely paid for through SPLOST funds, which is kind of exciting. And they've been around for quite a while. But just to get to the matter at hand, the Savannah-Chatham County Board of Education approved the Oglethorpe Charter School charter petition on October 2nd, 2024. Oglethorpe Charter School's mission is partnering with parents and the community to inspire students to achieve personal and educational excellence. Oglethorpe Charter School will implement the following essential and innovative features in the proposed term: a daily double block of ELA and math, advanced placement in high school classes for 8th graders in math, 9th grade, comp lit, and physical science, a heavy focus on the arts in theater, chorus, band, visual arts, marine science, STEM, and engineering, and a heavy focus on reading and math remediation. Oglethorpe Charter School will serve and currently does serve and will serve grades 6 through 8, and currently does and will continue to serve approximately 600 students each year throughout the 5 years of the proposed term, and that will be its 5th term as a charter school. So again, it's been around for a while. Enrollment will be open to any student who resides within the Savannah-Chatham County School District and according to the enrollment priorities. So Oglethorpe Charter School, as I've told you, was approved by the Savannah-Chatham County Board of Education. It also went through our rigorous process, which includes getting a recommendation from the Charter Advisory Committee, and then a panel of inside and outside experts met with Oglethorpe Charter School, talked to the district, read the petition, had some questions. I included, as I did during our last time I was here, I included this clarification letter so you can see what some of the reviewers' top concerns were. I just want to go through those very quickly. And there were 5 concerns, and I would say the first 3 were fairly serious concerns. The final 2 were just things that were omitted from the petition. We needed more information. So, and after I get through with this, I'll let you know there are folks from the school district and the school online who can answer any questions, and I can also pitch in. So our first concern, and I should say it's normal to have concerns in this process. There's nothing unusual, but looking at the data, the discipline data for the school, it seemed there was an overrepresentation of disciplinary numbers for African-American students, particularly males. Again, not completely unknown, but we asked them to address that concern. It's important to put this in context. The school is 85% African-American, 15% white, so you'd expect the numbers to be different. But, and you'll see in the letter that they had quite an involved response that involved several things that the district's going to do. They're aware of the issue. They've been aware of it for several years. They're re-implementing PBIS, which they had, it was there, but they're kind of doing a hyper version of it. They're getting feedback from their RESA and from the district in terms of the implementation and sort of how they can improve that implementation of PBIS. They've added professional development. They've named one specific person to kind of captain this improvement plan, so that was a really good sign. And then the evidence is they have had a 60% drop in discipline referrals this year, so we see that they're kind of on track and things are getting better. So that was a great response. We thought that really helped. The second concern was about a lack of EL, so English language learners enrolled in the school. And when we probed on this, you'll see in the letter, this is actually the reason they were low at the school is because they were following a district policy to cluster EL students at specific sites. So what we did, we asked for that evidence that this came from the district and wasn't the charter school making this decision to not serve EL students. So what I'll say is this is a matter of concern, but I've talked to Meg Baker at DOE, and there's kind of 2 things that have to happen going forward. I'm confident that DOE is managing at the district level to make sure that clustering, which really isn't allowed, it's already been broken up and they're pursuing a different strategy. And then we will pursue with the charter school, training them, making sure that they understand their responsibilities under federal and state law for English language learners, and that they embrace their autonomy to sort of follow the path they need to follow. So that's going to be our follow-up from that. The next one was chronic absenteeism, which of course we've seen since COVID all over the place. I mean, it's throughout the state and throughout the country. They're at about a 20% rate right now, which is not great, but it's not bad. It kind of puts them in the middle of the pack. But they do have a sort of a multi-forked, multi-pronged, multivalent, but they have many things they're doing to address it, including increased monitoring, parent and student engagement strategies, rewarding strong attendance for students, providing personalized outreach through telephone and on the internet, and what they call removing barriers, which is providing bus service in some cases where that's needed and can be offered, Saturday programming, after school programming. So these are all things we've seen other schools and districts do that have been effective, so we thought that was a satisfactory answer. The last 2 things, again, were just things that were missing out of the initial petition. They omitted putting their reserve there, which was a concern for us. We thought they had no reserve. They, in fact, have a almost $4 million reserve, which is good for a school their size. And they're not afraid to spend it either, but that's there. And then the last was they omitted a description of their board committee structure, which is we really need to see to understand how their governance works. And you'll see in that letter I provided, there's quite a detailed explanation of how the committees are composed, how they operate, et cetera, et cetera. So I just wanted you to get a sense of what our kind of top level items were. After reading that letter and going to the Charter Advisory Committee and reviewing everything all in all, we recommend approval for the school. But I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And again, there are folks from the district, Kevin Wall, who's the school leader at Oglethorpe Charter School, Jonathan Brown, who's their board chair, are on the line. Also people from the district, Shakaria Smith, who is the charter liaison for the district, and Raymond Barnes, who's the chief of schools. So, as you will.
Any questions before we hear from the people from the school? No? Any, you folks that are online from the school? Oh, sorry.
Can you talk about the academic achievement? I mean, because that's fundamentally what the charter schools should be about. And I granted that they've been approved for 5 years, so I think they're in solid shape, but just, can you talk about their academic?
I can, and I think it would be helpful to have the school talk about it as well, because they've,
That's fine.
but I can say, but I mean, when we looked at the numbers, we looked at the schools, we looked at a couple different things. Obviously, we look at the CCRPI, the pieces of CCRPI that are important. And we also look at kind of the schools the students would have attended had they not made the choice to go to a charter school. And in that, that otherwise schools data was probably the most significant, that they are, if you look at it pretty much across the board, certainly in algebra and ELA and science, they're scoring higher on the milestones test, and their CCRPI component scores are higher than students at schools that they would have gone to. So that's a huge part of it.
That's exactly what I was kind of looking
Yeah.
for.
And the other thing I'll just say that other than it's probably more than a blip, but the occurrence of COVID, they've always been on kind of an up, their achievement has gone up pretty steadily. So there were some hiccups, but there were hiccups everywhere. So the thing that we really look for is that they're able to tell us about their performance, and to we ask them very tough questions, and just like you do, and then their ability to sort of own their data and know what it is and articulate it is what's really important. So that's
Great.
Great
Any other
question.
questions
Thank
from
you.
the board?
I have one.
Yes, sir.
We usually don't get this quite level of detail of questions and answers
Right.
back into, so you obviously had some reservations, or you needed some more
Not at all, no. So this is just what you get with me, and I'm sorry, I can always cut back on it.
Oh, no, it's
But,
good.
but I've been doing this work for almost 20 years, so just to be clear, 9 times out of 10, we ask clarification questions and have this kind of letter. I've only presented them, you've only seen them in the last 2 visits because we've sort of turned up the amount of information I'm giving you. We did not have reservations at all about approving them. We started looking at the academic data, and we were already, and looking at the Savannah process, and we know they're rigorous as well, the school district's process. We were already inclined to approve them, but these are just things that popped up that we wanted to make sure that folks had their eyes on. So no, there were no reservations.
Okay.
We just want to make sure that people have their eye on the right things and they do have their eye on the academics, but it's probably the most important thing, but these other things too have to be watched. So, but it's not unusual to see them.
Okay. Well, it's good information. So
Okay,
thank
oh,
you.
great, thanks.
Yeah, I just see if there's any more questions here. And then Team Oglethorpe, would you like to make some comments and let us know what you're doing?
Uh-oh. Kevin, we can't hear you.
Go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah, he's moving.
Okay, yeah, we just took ourselves off mute. We strongly feel like, and we went through the clarification process with, our local system, that we are on a trajectory for, great academic success. We did an administrative restructuring last year, which this year has really taken off. And what we did is we added a assistant principal to every teaching team, which greatly helped everything from discipline as well as our academics, because that single assistant principal is responsible for a cohort of 150 kids and 6 teachers. We really leaned heavy on Mr. Barnes and Ms. Smith, who were new to the school system. We had a really good meeting with Mr. Barnes, a train the trainer process to look for core action steps in the classroom, where we as a administrative team are going into the classrooms now, specifically looking at what the students are doing, what the teachers are doing, and the environment. If specifically if it's a standards-based classroom that matches, if everything that the teacher's saying, what the kids are doing, and what's going on the whiteboard and ViewSonic screen match up. And this is going to really help us with our kids this year. And I think we're going to see strong results. Prior to Mr. Barnes and Ms. Smith coming here, we were not this focused with an administrative team, because, like I said, this is our second year of the administrative restructuring. But the big thing is the PBIS initiative that has reduced our referrals tremendously. If anybody's ever been in the classroom, if you don't have control in the classroom or in school in general, you're not going to be very successful. But we've had a really, this has been the first normal year that I think we've had since the pandemic. And, we've got a good feeling about where we're going and where we're headed. We've got a strong teaching team. We've got, a few that, we need to get some help. But all in all, our math and ELA department is solid here. So we feel like we're on the right path for success.
Great, thank you. Any questions? All right, thank you so much for being with us today. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other things you wanted to add to this?
Not to Oglethorpe, I had a couple general
Okay.
comments, so.
All right, well, thank you.
Mhm.
And I think we'll bring him up later, right, for that, for those other comments related
I
to
could do it right now if you
Okay,
like.
great.
I just didn't want to step in between the approval and the, just two things, and I mentioned these, I think, at the last meeting, so I just wanted to put a period on them. Together with the Department of Education, we have put they've helped us develop a dashboard for the annual report that is now online. So if you go to it's actually hosted through Georgia Insights, which is the DOE page, but you can access it through my office, the Office of Charter School Compliance. So it's part of the commission. Go to the commission, go to the OCSC, and it's a dashboard that has drop downs for every charter school that has academic performance, survey results, demographic. So rather than 400 pages of paper, we have that dashboard, which is awesome, of course. And then I wanted everyone to know that we are on track for having the external evaluation of the 10 districts who authorize charter schools. Remember, that's in law. It's never been implemented, so we have our external contractors going to start talking to those districts in March, and then we'll have that wrapped up by the end of the fiscal year and again publish the results. But this is something the commission has already been through, but it's again an external evaluation of the authorizing processes that's meant to strengthen their authorizing, to help them be better, work better with their charter schools, and so.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks.
So item 2, we will move to the consent agenda. All right, so in summary, items 1 and 2 from Charter and Flexibility Committee is moved to the consent agenda. Mr. Chairman, we've completed our work.
Thank you, Mrs. Olive. Thank you very much. Folks from the commission, thank both of you for being there. Ms. Stockwell, thank you for your comment about student achievement. It'll be my pleasure to make sure that you make that statement at every board meeting.
Probably will.
That's that's our top priority. And so thank you for asking the question. So are there any other comments that are, Mr. Downey?
This is totally unrelated to anything with the board, but a dear friend of mine has joined us, Mayor Lester Miller from Macon Bibb Consolidated Government. Lester and I served on the Bibb County Board of Education for one term for me. He was on there for 2 years. He's a past chair. He's now just began his second term as mayor of Macon. Today is Macon Day over at the Gold Dome, so he just spoke with a group over at the West Tower and is joining us here, and I'm going to join him later tonight at the Freight Depot for fish fry, I believe it is. So we thank you for coming, seeing how the sausages are made at the state level, and we've got some new board members, so feel free to stick around and say hey to everybody. Thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Welcome, Mayor. It's glad to have you with us. I want to welcome our newest board member. I haven't officially done this, but based on the number, the way the nameplates are arranged around the table, I think it's pretty obvious who our newest board member is. But Courtney Dove has joined us from the 11th Congressional District, taking, as you heard earlier, Scott Sweeney's place. And Courtney, we're very happy that you agreed to serve, and we're very grateful to the governor's office for making the recommendation. I know you're going to bring a lot to the board, and we welcome you, and we'll put you to work very soon. So welcome. And also our other new board members. This is your second meeting, but and in Jennifer's case, her 7th or 6th. So we've this year, for the good of the order here, we've initiated a new board member orientation. We started this morning. And we'll continue that for a few months till we can get everybody caught up to speed about our processes and protocols, but also being mindful of Ms. Stockwell's comment that our primary focus should be student achievement. So thank all of you for being here today. Anything else for the good of the order? If not, we will adjourn and see you. I'll have a motion to adjourn. I'll entertain a motion right now. Got a motion, Mr. Benton, second, Mr. Downey. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we are adjourned. See you at 9 a.m. in the morning.